Hi, I'm Angel Valentino, a self-taught software engineer. Just about a year ago, I was struggling to understand what the href attribute does in anchor tags and how to manage layouts using flexbox. Now I'm introducing TaskFlow, a full-stack productivity application that I built completely from scratch without relying on any frameworks or libraries. The frontend is a single-page application written in vanilla JavaScript, interacting with a RESTful API built with pure PHP, using JSON Web Tokens for authentication, and Redis for rate limiting, with data stored in a separate MySQL database, also supporting local storage for anonymous users. However, I couldn't have done this by myself. I do not think anyone truly can. I relied heavily on documentation, YouTube, and any source of information I could find. Special thanks to NetNinja, Dave Hollingworth, and Decode. They helped me get started and keep me moving forward, as well as the freeCodeCamp team, giving me the push I needed at the start. TaskFlow isn't just an app. It is the result of more than a year of relentless learning, debugging, late nights, and breakthroughs. It started as a simple portfolio project about a year ago, but has evolved into much more. It is my idea of the perfect minimalist productivity application with no filler, just the necessary information, functionality, and widgets, designed to help users stay focused, organized, and free from distractions. It combines a clean task manager, a Pomodoro timer, daily motivational quotes, anonymous user task management with local storage, and even an enhanced task manager view to make managing your tasks even easier. All of this comes in a responsive and accessible user interface. It is mobile optimized and even supports basic progressive web app functionality. The main idea is to keep productivity simple. What you need to do and when. Order it by date. You complete it, you forget it.
To be educated, but I'm so frustrated.
Everything catches up with the backend when you are online and stores locally when you are not. All of this runs inside a custom single-page application, no frameworks. Let me quickly show you how it works. Here is the task manager, clean and simple. You can add a task with the description being optional. I find this feature essential because it is often frustrating when task management apps require descriptions, even though many tasks may not require one. After adding a task, you can edit it at any time. Both the add and edit task forms are designed to help you preserve your data. For example, if you make any changes in the form and try to navigate away, a modal will appear asking if you want to keep your information. This helps prevent accidental data loss. Once a task is added, you can mark it as complete or delete it as needed. The app also offers the option to delete all tasks or delete only active or complete tasks. Additionally, the manager includes smooth search functionality that allows you to find any task by title. Matching search terms are highlighted to make it easier to find what you need. If there are no matches, an empty task placeholder is shown. All of these features work seamlessly for both authenticated users who benefit from persistent storage synced across the MySQL database, and anonymous users, whose tasks are saved locally in the browser storage. All of the former functionality, except the task adding feature, is included in the enhanced task manager view, allowing users even easier task handling. I decided not to include the add task functionality here because I want users to see a code before adding any task. By enhancing their belief in what they can do, users can plan ahead even better rather than just being alone. Light must be found in the darkness, as the brightest day comes after the darkest night. I believe that to plan your future, you need a little help finding motivation. Even though it is still just a code, it might be the beginning of a kingdom of ideas. I strongly believe that the most important part of the application is the code machine. As I mentioned before, everyone needs a little push when they are at the lowest. Very few have the ability to truly get up on their own after falling. But this is more than just a code machine. It's tied to the theme change logic. With every new quote, you also get a new mood based on the theme that the loss or casualty have chosen for you. Additionally, it allows users to share the quote. While the user interface is based on a freeCodeCamp example project, all of the underlying logic from theme management to sharing functionality is entirely my own. And the last widget, a timer designed around the Pomodoro technique. It gives the user 2 sessions to choose from, a short one with 25 minutes of work and 5 minutes of rest, and a long one with 45 minutes of work and 10 minutes of rest. Both are fully accessible and come with the coolest sound I could ever find for changing sessions, stopping or resetting the current timer. There are logs falling though. Who could have said that? Among all of the reusable logic and services I have built, one stands out, the modal handler. This service manages the entire modal lifecycle, ensuring accessibility, focus management, and proper event handling. It includes features such as trapping focus, closing modals when the escape key is pressed or when the overlay is clicked, and stacking modals to manage multiple layers by determining which modal is active based on its position in the stack. This class is used extensively throughout the client application to provide essential accessibility functionality in a reusable and consistent way. What makes it truly special is that it's not limited to work with just modals. The logic is flexible enough to support prompts and other interactive components, even without an overlay, as well as integrating seamlessly with my custom client router. Handling refresh tokens was something I struggled with quite a bit. It is a tricky part to get right, and I'm sure some bugs might still be lurking around. That said, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Everything is properly connected, from logging out the client when the refresh token expires to handling API error responses. For a regular user, using the API should never cause issues with refresh token management. It is fully integrated with a custom fetch handler that manages all fetch requests and authentication headers. I also built a token handler that manages race conditions on the client side. When multiple requests need a token at the same time, only one request is sent to the refresh endpoint. Once the token is received, it is passed to all the pending requests as well as any errors if needed. This way, both the client and the backend tokens are refreshed together. By far, the hardest part of this journey was deploying the API. It was easily the most challenging task in my engineering career. I had to go through a crash course on deployment, which ideally would take months to learn step by step, but I compressed it in about a week, working long hours. Nevertheless, I did it. The API is now deployed on a hardened Linux server protected with SSH keys, fail to ban, and HTTPS. One important lesson I learned is that I could have hosted both my API and database on a lower tier DigitalOcean droplet for a cheaper amount instead of using separate dedicated services for my API and database. However, my lack of experience led me to choose the improved approach, which was more expensive but also more modular and future-proof, so keep that in mind. Overall, deploying an API on a Linux droplet server is quite a straightforward process once you do it once. Technology has evolved quite a lot. Tools like Servbot make managing SSL certificates easy, and DigitalOcean provides thorough documentation. I initially planned to deploy on Heroku, but their dynamic API made it impossible to whitelist my dedicated database, so I chose a droplet server with a static API instead. The only issue left was with email subscriptions. At first, I thought of using Gmail, but most providers block common ports to prevent spam and abuse. After talking with support, they told me I could use port 2525 with SendGrid. However, I ended up using Mailgun using the limited free tier, including 100 emails per day. Although I have rate limits on endpoints, that email limit is quite low. Since I only send transactional emails such as password resets and welcome messages, it doesn't matter as much though. And if the app grows, it can easily be upgraded to a bigger plan. I also achieved an A+ rating for SSL encryption from SSL Labs for my domain, ensuring strong security and encryption from client to database. I'm also proud to say that TaskFlow scores a full score on Lighthouse audits for performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO, with only a slight drop in performance when logged in or using mobile devices. Security was a major focus throughout the project, with several measures in place including JSON Web Tokens, CORS protection, HTTPS, and SSL for the database connection. Rate limiting is implemented using Redis, with validation based on AP addresses and device IDs, as well as detecting any rotation of those keys. Additionally, prepare statements are used to prevent SQL injection, and all the necessary JSON sent to the client is properly escaped. However, no application is completely secure. Ongoing vigilance and improvements are always necessary due to the evolving nature of cybersecurity. I chose to avoid any frameworks on purpose, to prove myself that I could build a modern single-page application from the ground up. No React, no Laravel, just JavaScript and pure PHP. A custom system that I built from scratch, and full control over every part of the UI logic and backend interactions. This forced me to truly understand how everything works, not just using someone else's idea. One major benefit of the architecture I followed for both the client and the API is modular design. Each component functions independently, making it easy to reuse or update parts without breaking the rest of the application. Altogether, this makes the codebase easier to maintain and understand. The result is a clean and organized app, where the UI is sharp and the logic is handled exactly where it should be. All started just as a simple portfolio project, but ended up evolving into my current biggest project, the one I take the most pride in, and that had the biggest impact on me, evolving from a developer into a true engineer. I learned to think architecturally and understand how systems work from the ground up, including modern security standards. One of the most surprising things was the sheer number of attempts to breach any public server, which is absolutely insane. The funniest part is that I did not realize this until about a week after deploying. Once I installed failed to ban, it blocked around 900 IPs within just a couple of minutes. But I believe the most important lesson is that you become an engineer the moment you are comfortable with not knowing everything, yet understand that it's your job to find a way to fix that gap. At the same time, you accept that this is a cycle that will never truly end. Nonetheless, I'm quite content with how the app turned out. Honestly, I wanted to keep going, but I was already past my scheduled deadline by over a week, and I believe I achieved most of what I set out to do. Possibly, future improvements include refactoring the client-side code to TypeScript for strict typing, adding user management features such as account deletions and profile updates, improving progressive web app support, adding a theme picker for customization, and introducing a colorblind-friendly palette to enhance accessibility. These plans may evolve based on user feedback and priorities though. If you are starting out or stuck on your first programming language, persistence alone is not enough. It comes from a deeper purpose that you must truly feel. Pain and struggle are essential parts of growth. When I struggled with JavaScript, I hated the confusion, but kept going. Without realizing it, I was following the hero archetypical journey by facing fear and pain to find strength. Ancient stories and rites show that facing your darkest fears is how you become stronger and reborn. Many give up, because sometimes you may never return from the darkness, but if you push through, you will come out changed and tougher. So, next time a snippet of code drives you mad, do not just keep going. Integrate the pain into your growth. This process shapes you not only as a developer, but as a person and as a soul. It is not easy, but once you face your fears head-on, it gets easier each day. What you're fighting is more than just code. It is your mind confronting its deepest fears, the embodiment of death. Now you must face it. Every line of code you write matters. If I could build this in a year and a half, so can you. Check out the GitHub repository for the full documentation and source code. Try it out, and feel free to reach out with any thoughts or feedback. Thanks for watching, and welcome to TaskFlow.